Welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy.
So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? A very happy Wednesday here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Once again, full show tonight, all 90 minutes, plenty to get to. Tom Caron, our Sox insider over at NESN, is going to talk Red Sox GM search with us in about 15 minutes. We'll do that at 5:45. Thoughts on UVM men's basketball being picked first in the AE conference poll. Media day was today for UVM. We'll tell you a little bit about how that works and what exactly we're going to do with it. So plenty to get to. You can get in on the text line 802-585-3026. It's 802-585-3026. I got a lot of Patriots audio I want to get to as well, kind of a dump of Patriots audio, a bunch of people saying a lot of stuff. We'll get to all of it. I am here. Danny is here. You are here. Danny, let go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Edisburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. By the way, they're also in Rouse's Point, New York, and they're online at sticksandstuff.com. Danny, in honor of you yesterday, you're Mr. Preseason. I'm going to be Mr. Preseason Junior. I actually want to start with some Celtics notes because I watched a little bit of the Celtics yesterday in preseason. Did not watch every single minute, but they played the Knicks. They beat the Knicks 123-110. I know you watched every single minute. I got a couple Celtics pieces of audio I want to play in the 6 o'clock hour, so I want to kind of separate our Celtics talk. So let's just kind of go through a little bit of what we saw yesterday. The Celtics won by 13. They beat the Knicks. It should be known the Knicks didn't play a whole lot of their regulars. There was no Jalen Brunson. There was no Julius Randle. The guys you would consider to be, huge parts of the Knicks rotation.
Their main guys.
Most of them did not play, right? We saw Dante DiVincenzo, but we didn't see Randle. We didn't see Brunson. So the Celtics win comes with a bit of a caveat next to it. But, hey, they played. We're going to talk about it. And I got a couple things that really stood out to me. One, Danny, you know what maybe I loved more than anything else in yesterday's Celtics game? Well, first off, anytime you get 6 players in double figures, I love that, right? Is that a regular occurrence in the NBA? Not necessarily, because I don't think we're going to see Sam Hauser play 22 minutes every single night. I don't know about Peyton Pritchard playing 22 minutes every single night, although he may approach that in a lot of situations. But you get 6 players in double figures. I love when you have a team that has depth, that isn't incredibly top heavy, that doesn't only rely on one person, etc. So, look, you got Tatum with 28, and you got Porzingis with 20, and Brown had 17, and Hauser had 15, and Holiday had 10, and then you go and get Pritchard with 11. I love a team that can, if you can get 6 players in double figures, then I am floored by that, right? There are teams out there where one guy gets 47, and the next best guy gets 12. The Celtics are not that team. I don't want them to be that team. I want a team that's deep, that has answers, that can overcome some injuries, that can bring guys off the bench, that can give a guy a rest, that can overcome an off shooting night. And the Celtics look like they're that team. If on any given night, Danny, the Celtics can get 4 to 5 guys in double figures, I think we would all be incredibly thrilled with that. And look, Derek White had 9 yesterday, and Al Horford had 8. Both of those guys can go for double figures on any given night as well. I think Derek White's going to average double figures this year, Danny. I don't know if you think so. Yes, there will be some nights where Derek White gets 7 and some nights where Derek White gets 17. But by the end of the year, when we're sitting here in May, I think we're going to be talking about Derek White being a double-digit scorer for this team. So I look at it and say, Brown, Tatum, Porzingis, Holiday, and White, I think you're going to get 5 players who average double figures, and then Pritchard, and Horford especially are two guys that can get double figures in any given game. The scoring options, the scoring versatility, the scoring depth, they all appear to be there. They all appear to be very, very real. And as a result, I do think you're going to see the Celtics be able to play consistent offense this season. That, to me, Danny, was the number one thing that stood out to me yesterday.
Yeah, if they share the ball the way they did in the first half, I think you're right. They'll have multiple guys in double figures most nights.
I mean, they had 16 threes in the first half. They scored 78 first half points. And again, that's without the Knicks playing their top unit. But at the end of the day, the ball still has to get shot and the ball still has to get made in the basket. So the Celtics appear to be able to do that. You know what else I loved about yesterday's game, Danny? And I'm going to juxtapose it with something I didn't like in a minute. But something else I liked about the Celtics yesterday is that at the end of the second quarter, they had a lead and they extended it. Right? They're up 12 and then they're up 15. And then they're up 18. And then I think 23. It was 70-47 at one point. So many times at the end of a first half when a team has a big lead, you will see a team take their foot off the gas. You will see a team backslide into a poor, hey, we're up 23, but they go into the half down 11. Or the Celtics kept their foot on the gas. And that is something we didn't always see last year. It's something we haven't seen. It's something we don't, frankly, see in the NBA a lot. It's typical in the NBA to get a lead and blow it. But I would love to see the Celtics get a big lead and extend to it and add to it. And at the end of the second quarter, they did that, Danny.
Yeah, and last year we were all scared the last 5-6 minutes of every game because we didn't know what they would do with the lead. They would be up 12, and then 2 minutes left, they'd be up 2. So...
Well, I'm going to juxtapose it now to the thing I hated about the game. Beginning of the third quarter, the Celtics did exactly what we said we were worried about, right? Like, I was so pumped and so proud to see that they had a lead and they extended it and they kept their foot off the gas or on the gas. But then you come out after halftime and all of a sudden this group of Knicks reserves, it was a 23-point lead. Midway through the third quarter, it got down to 10. End of the third quarter, it was down to 8. I mean, the Celtics could have lost that game, and we'd be sitting here even in preseason saying, man, you were up 23 at one point and you lost to a group of backups. I am tired of that storyline, right? Remember last year in the playoffs, even at home, the Celtics got up big against Miami, and then all of a sudden they blew it. There's Jimmy Butler coming down the stretch in the fourth quarter. There's Kyle Lowry hitting a big 3 or 2, I believe, in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm tired of that storyline. I am tired of you getting up big and then not being able to finish the deal. It's human nature to take your foot off the gas. I get it, right? I could get up 10-0 in a pickup game, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, well, now I don't really need to try anymore. And then all of a sudden it's 10-6. You're like, okay, let me try to turn it back on. It happens at every level of basketball. It happens at every level of sports. I don't want to see it happen with the Celtics anymore. This team is too good to go through mental lapses, to go through plays off, to go through down stretches. And they have to figure out a way to overcome that. Because if you're playing a Knicks team yesterday without the guys the Knicks weren't playing with, and you're up 23 in the second quarter, I'm sorry, you got to win that game by 20 points. You got to win that game by 40 points. Instead, you're sitting here at the end of the third quarter, and you're sweating it out again, where you're like, oh, man, I mean, it's 8 points with 2 minutes left in the third, and now all of a sudden I can envision a world very, very quickly where the game is tied again, and I don't want that. I want to see the Celtics have preached defense. They have preached focus. They have preached competition. You've got to be able to finish games. And finishing games is not just getting wins. Finishing games is about doing what you're supposed to do when it needs to be done. And when you are up 23 early, you should be able to have that game in the bag and in control. And instead, you were sweating it out with 14-plus minutes to play. Another thing, another observation, Danny, is I think Kristaps Porzingis is going to be hugely important for this team. And that's overstating the obvious, or that's how, like, hey, Captain Obvious, of course he is. But you look at what Porzingis can do, especially from the outside, and he's just better than the guy they had in that role the last couple of years, and that's Al Horford. I like Al Horford a lot. I have a lot of respect for a guy who's, 15 years in the league at this point, who's been doing it in multiple cities and multiple organizations. He's an all-star. He's now taken a back seat. He's been a max player. I have a lot of respect for what Al Horford has done in this game. I have a lot of respect for what he can bring to the Celtics. But Al Horford has become a stretch big man player, and he's a fairly decent three-point shooter, especially when open. But he's,
above
6'9",
average from the corner. He's 40%.
Yeah. He's 6'9", 6'10", Danny. Kristaps Porzingis is 7'3". He gets off the shot easily. He's got a better release. He's going to shoot a better percentage. I mean, and just multiple times yesterday we saw where Drew Holiday draws a double team, and then there's Porzingis at the top of the key, and he's wide open, and he's able to set himself and not have to rush the shot. Horford has to rush the shot a little bit because somebody's going to come out at him and close out hard, and the shot can get a little sideways. Porzingis doesn't have to do that because he can shoot over everybody. And I don't want him to only hang out at the top of the key, right? You have to fight the urge to only hang out at the top of the key. But when he is there, he's going to be the recipient of some very easy passes and some very easy spot-up opportunities, and he's going to be able to knock down a bunch of threes. He started the game yesterday with a three in the corner, multiple threes at the top of the key. Again, when Tatum goes into the lane, when Brown goes into the lane, when Holiday goes into the lane, and Porzingis gets the kick out or comes off the screen and roll and pick and pop situations, he's going to be there to do some real damage. And that's what they got him for. He's an all-star player. We expect a lot of him. But seeing it kind of manifest itself, Danny, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a lot of those shots at the top of the key for him. Horford got them. Some days he'd be on. Some days he'd be off. He was awful last year in the playoffs. I think Porzingis is going to be way more on than off when it comes to those shots.
He's like shooting from Curry range too, which is ridiculous for a 7'3" guy.
I mean, he's just, they call him the unicorn.
That's
right?
comfort level for him. It's like,
yes.
It's like deep corner.
When he came out, because I remember, I've said this before, when I was doing radio in Albany, Porzingis' first year, they called him the unicorn. And he still maintains that. He's better down low than he ever was. He's stronger than he ever was. He's better inside. We're going to see some of that to his game as well. But he's still got that stretch big ability, and he's going to be the recipient of a lot. The hard part will be, as I said, him not just hanging there, because this team still needs to rebound. So my biggest fear, or one of my fears, is that Porzingis waits at the top of the key for kick-out threes and then ends up not in the fray to go get rebounds, and the team could get pounded on the glass. That is one of my fears here. You've got to fight the urge to do that. But when you're out there, I think he's going to be really, really solid and really, really effective. 802-585-3026. Text says, I still don't believe that Porzingis is a better overall one-on-one defender than Al Horford.
He's a good defender, though.
I think you just have to understand that they're going to defend in different ways, right? Like, I would say this. I bet you Horford will look like he's trying harder on defense. I think Al Horford is a consummate professional. He's a big effort guy. He also needs to deliver a huge effort in order to stay in front of guys, in order to body guys. Porzingis, it may look at times like he's loafing on things, but he's so long that he doesn't have to put forth as much energy as Horford does, but he's still going to be an effective defensive player. He's going to alter your shot. He's going to get you off your spot. He's going to force you into pass when you thought you were going to shoot. He's going to block your shot. He's going to redirect it. He's not going to have to foul that much to alter your shot. So I would say Horford is a try-hard defender. I think Porzingis is just a guy who's just going to use his natural gifts. It may not look like he's trying as hard, but I think he's going to be effective. I'm more interested to see how Porzingis does down low. He's very, very good around the rim, but again, he's kind of I don't want to say soft, but he's not your typical physical big. He's not Dwight Howard down there, right? He's not going to body you up. So I'll be interested in seeing how he does on the low block. Text says, touche, good answer. That's what we're paid to do. Thank you very much, my guy, Kevin. Right now, Brady Farkas show on DEV. We'll step aside. We'll get Tom Caron, our Red Sox insider at NESN. Why does nobody want the Red Sox general manager job? We'll ask TC next.
Waterbury invites you to think local, buy local, and be local by experiencing our rich history, arts, and culture. Enjoy a self-guided walking tour of our historic downtown and keep an eye out for our arts installations, creative window displays, open studios, and galleries with rotating exhibits. Pop into the Historical Society to view artifacts and stories from the past. Learn how the community rebounded after the Great Flood of 1927 and again in 2011 after being struck by Tropical Storm Irene.
Stowe Street Emporium, a locally owned gift, apparel, and accessory store featuring an abundance of fun, eclectic, and unique pieces. We are open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 11 to 5, and Sundays, 11 to 3. So see you soon at 23 Stowe Street in historic downtown Waterbury.
The Wine Vault, an approachable wine shop. We take the snobbery out of wine. With over 1,000 bottles to choose from, we feature the classics of Napa to the funk of Slovenia. The Wine Vault is located on Elm Street in Waterbury, across from Pro Pig. See you at the Vault.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher with exciting news.
Football legend Emmitt Smith talking about all new regenerative treatments for joint pain from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics.
But did you know that you can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics?
QC Kinetics uses biologic therapies that are natural, restorative, and long-lasting.
The body is an amazing thing. Trust me, I put mine through a lot.
Exciting new relief is here for pain from arthritis, knee pain, lower back pain, pain in your hips and shoulders.
I'm that guy. When you Google shoulder pain, my face pops up.
But you don't have to be sidelined by pain anymore. Call QC Kinetics to learn more about biologic therapies.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love. There's a new natural solution that patients are raving about.
QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life.
Call QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, supporting one-of-a-kind local businesses like WDEV to preserve the distinct character of Vermont. WDEV is your home for New England Patriots football. The Patriots take on AFC rival the Buffalo Bills this Sunday. Pregame at 10, kickoff at 1. Patriots football on WDEV, brought to us by Matt Clark's Northern Basement Systems. For all things basement-y, visit northernbasements.com. By Quick Lane Tire and Auto Center on Route 15 in Hardwick, your go-to place for routine auto maintenance. And Patriot Transport, affordable transportation for the greater Stowe, Burlington, and Central Vermont region. New England Patriots football this Sunday at 10 on WDEV AM and FM.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. We are going to have Tom Caron, our Red Sox insider at NESN, with us here in a couple of minutes. TC just texted me right before we were supposed to call him and said, hey, I'm in the car. I'm going through a bad service zone. Wait till I get home. We'll do this in a couple of minutes if that's okay with you. I told him no problem. So we'll get TC coming up after the 6 o'clock news updates. We'll get TC about 6:05. He was in the car, and we'll get him when he gets home. It gives us a chance to tell you about the news out of UVM men's basketball today. The America East released their preseason poll and their preseason all-conference teams. What you should know is this, that UVM has been picked on the men's side to repeat, or has been picked as the favorite, rather, for the preseason top spot, right? So they have got 6 first-place votes out of 9. Every team in the league gets a vote for first place. UVM got 6 of them. UMass Lowell got 3 of them. Bryant finished in 3rd. Then it went Binghamton, Maine, UMBC, then UAlbany, New Hampshire, and then NJIT. So the Catamounts picked as the preseason conference favorite, and then UVM got 1 player on the preseason all-conference team. That is our friend Aaron Deloney, 2-time 6th man of the year in the league, 11.5 points a game last year, 2 rebounds, 40% from 3, and a guy who was a member of the all-championship team last season as well. My first takeaway on this, and I don't claim to know everything about every opponent, right? I do not spend my summers studying what's going to happen with Maine basketball or UMBC basketball. My first thought on this is that 1, the league is getting deeper, and 2, because of that, UVM is not the overwhelming favorite anymore. That ultimately is good for the league, right? I would love it to have a world where UVM finishes 16-0 and dominates the league and wins every game and gets a 14 seed or a 13 seed rather in the NCAA tournament and has a chance to win a game. I would love that. It would be nice to have a bunch of comfortable victories. It also, I think, is good for the league to have multiple teams that can challenge, and it's better for the fans to have games that mean something. I can't tell you how many games I've watched in the last decade where UVM has been playing games that don't mean anything because they've already got the league wrapped up so early. So to see UMass Lowell get 3 first-place votes and challenge UVM, that's good for the league. Hard for UVM, but good for the league. Bryant to go and get 51 total points in the preseason poll. That is good for the league as well. Hard for UVM, but good for the league. UVM only getting 1 preseason all-conference player. Bryant gets 2. UMass Lowell gets 1. New Hampshire gets 1. Maine gets 1. I think we're seeing a league that is evolving and getting better. I think Bryant being here, as much as they kind of rub me the wrong way in ways, I think them being here has made the league better, has made the league deeper. The league was really healthy 5-7 years ago when Albany was really good and when Stony Brook was really good, when UVM was really good. We need to get back to that where there's a really good
game 3 of the ALCS is today. Game 3 of the NLCS is tomorrow. TC, good. Much appreciated. We will catch up again in 7 days.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brady.
Well. I am excited for this Catamount Hoops season. I'm always excited for Catamount Hoops season. I'm very much excited for this one. And the reason being is there's so much unknown, right? A couple of years ago, we knew that Ben Shungu was going to play a big role. We knew Ryan Davis was going to play a big role. Last year, a lot of unknown with a lot of new faces. This year, a lot of unknown with a lot of new faces. I look around this team and I think to myself, well, Deloney is a known commodity. Veretto is a known commodity. And after that, you got questions, right? Is TJ Hurley, one, how's his ankle? Is he healthy? But is he ready to take the next step? Is he ready to enter the starting lineup? Is he ready to be a guy who's more consistent, right? There were games last year where TJ Hurley would get 12 points, and there were games where he would get no points, right? When you're a sophomore, you can't pull a disappearing act when you're going to be counted on more. Is he ready to take that step? All the new players, all the transfers, the guys that they got in, on the transfer portal, right? They got a Roquemare from San Diego. They've got the kid who was Brenton Mills, who was at Binghamton and then went to Bowling Green. There's a lot of guys with names here. Isaiah Connor Falefa, I'm thinking of the Yankees. Aliri Iofalye, again, we've talked about him and how excited we are. Can he be the player we think he is, right? There are guys that have a lot of preseason hype for anything and don't ever materialize. Can Aliri Iofalye be a guy who does capitalize? I think that he will. How does the Nick Fiorillo injury impact everything? How long is he going to be out for? These are questions that we have. There are a lot of unknowns here. I'm excited to watch it all unfold. I don't know how they're going to do in the non-conference. They showed us last year that you could be poor in the non-conference. They were 1-7 at one point and then still get to the NCAA tournament, right? You just got to be playing your best basketball by conference play. But this team has me excited in a lot of different ways. This league has me excited in a lot of different ways. So it was media day today for the conference. And on one hand, I love how this is done. And on the other hand, I hate how this is done. So what they did was there was a conference-wide Zoom call. And there are 9 teams in the league, and every team in the league got a 15-minute spot where, from 10 to 10:15, this team was on the Zoom call. And from 10:15 to 10:30, this team was on the Zoom call. From 10:30, and so on and so forth. Danny and I did not get to attend UVM's time slot. The reason being is that we were working during the midday news service. So I did not get to go. Danny did not get to go. We did not get to ask questions of John Becker or Aaron Deloney, who were the UVM representatives. We were sent the audio virtually, so we will have it tomorrow. We will cut it up, but nothing that we would have asked might have been asked. So we'll see what people said. We'll react to it. I missed the days where media day, you could just go and be at a central location, but and you can go talk to people in person, but it's also easier this way. We don't have to travel to some, far off the beaten path location to bring you the audio. So we'll have it for you tomorrow. I'll be interested to see what was asked. I'll be interested to see what was said. And I really want to know what John Becker would say about Nick Fiorillo's injury. That is the thing now that matters to me most. We had Becker on last week. We asked him a lot of questions we wanted to ask, right, about Veretto, about Iofalye, about kind of what style of team they're going to be. The thing now that's new is, what does the Nick Fiorillo injury mean? One, what is the injury? They're not going to tell us, but I still want to know. Two, how long is he out for? They're not going to tell us. I still want to know. Three, how does it change your roster? Is a guy who, who's going to step into the starting lineup in the spot that Fiorillo would have had? Which youngster or transfer am I thinking now to expect more of than I previously thought? Is there a guy that was going to redshirt that now is not going to because they're going to need him to play more? All of these things are things that I want to know in the wake of Nick Fiorillo's injury. That's a big loss, right? I don't know that Nick Fiorillo is going to average 12 points a game for this team, but he's a guy who can hit the three, a guy who's long, a guy who can rebound, and a guy who showed he could play some defense like he did last year late in the America East Conference Championship run. I like Nick. We talked about that yesterday. I sent him some well wishes on Twitter. He responded, or rather he liked it. So, he knows we're thinking about him, and I hope he's back out on the floor soon. I will be very interested to see, Danny, tomorrow where the UVM women are when the preseason poll comes out. They are the defending champions. They are a team now that does not have Catherine Gilwey, who is arguably their most important player. Maybe not their best, but their most important. And UAlbany is really good, always on the women's side. Maine is always really good on the women's side. So again, you're going to have a three-headed monster at the top of the conference. I'll be interested in seeing the respect level that the Catamount women get after winning their first conference title in forever last year. It's not going to be easy to repeat. It's not going to be easy for the men to repeat either, but it's really not going to be easy for the women, especially without Gilwey. So tomorrow at the Women's Media Day, again, Danny and I will be at that one virtually. Elisa Kresge, the head coach, and Emma Utterback, their graduate student leader, is going to be there. We'll have a chance to ask them some questions. The thing I want to know really here we've asked Kresge about this. The thing I want to know from Utterback is she prepared to play point guard? That's the question for the women this year is the point guard spot. Because, Danny, there are two ways at looking at. There are two schools of thought here. Catherine Gilwey was so unbelievably good. How do you replace her? You don't. You're going to be deficient somewhere. So the question is, where are you choosing to have your deficiency? Because I could put Emma Utterback at point guard. And if I did that, I would have the stability of having an upperclassman have the ball in her hands constantly. I would have my team leader having the ball in her hands constantly. There would be a degree of calm that would come with that. But if I take Emma Utterback and make her the point guard, then I've lost what Emma Utterback does so well on the wing. Emma Utterback is this team's most athletic player. She needs to be out in transition. She is their fastest player. She needs to be out in transition. She needs to be in a spot where she can catch the ball on the wing and drive to the basket and score and create. If she is forced to handle the ball at the top of the key, you lose all that. So does Elisa Kresge choose the stability and calming presence of an upperclassman player over what Emma Utterback does really well? Or does she keep Emma Utterback and everybody else where they are best and then have a point guard that doesn't have the experience, that you don't trust as much? And to that, I guess I say, if your point guard can't handle pressure and can't get you in the offense, none of the other stuff matters. So I guess without knowing everyone who's on the UVM roster right now and how they play, I guess I would lean towards, yes, letting Emma Utterback run the show, but that's not my favorite thing, but it might be better than a total unknown. So we're going to have UVM Media Day on the women's side tomorrow. You'll hear from Elisa Kresge and Emma Utterback, and then we will also have the audio that we cut up from today's men's Media Day as well. Danny, have you ever been to a press conference type thing, even virtually?
No, none of those.
So tomorrow's going to be a big day for you.
It's exciting.
Going to be a big day for you. Get a chance to go and hobnob. Peter in Williston says, good to see UVM, or good to see the America East, rather, bringing competition to UVM men's hoops. I do think it will be a good season. I think it will be a good season. Tom Caron, I believe he's out of the service vortex. We'll talk Red Sox GM search with him next.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush at 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield. In Barrie at 96.5.
I want whatever is working now, so just tell me what to do.
AM 550 WDEV.
If you're playing it from the beginning, that's fine.
At WDEVradio.com. 92 years of serving Vermont.
I'm going to step aside real quick.
Pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks. President Biden's on his way back to Washington now after a visit to Israel and confirms Egypt will allow humanitarian aid into Gaza.
I was very blunt about the need to support getting humanitarian aid to Gaza. Get it to Gaza and do it quickly.
The president also condemned the attack on a hospital in Gaza and urged Israelis not to rage against Palestinians, since many aren't affiliated with terrorists. CBS's Imtiaz Tayeb is in Tel Aviv.
President Biden, in that very wide-ranging speech, was really trying to speak to everybody there. But I think when we look at those images of those protests all across the region here, that few people heard that and are still extraordinarily angry, not only at what happened at that hospital, but the fact that over the last 11 days, over 3,000 Palestinians have been killed.
More than 1,400 people have died in Israel. Hundreds of protesters held a sit-in at the U.S. Capitol today, urging lawmakers to push for a ceasefire in the Middle East. Many there were arrested. At least 3 were charged with assault on a police officer during processing. The House will be back at it again tomorrow to vote for Speaker.
No person having received a majority of the whole number of votes cast by a surname, a Speaker has not been elected.
Jim Jordan falling short. CBS's Nicole Killian.
Republicans are regrouping right now, that they are meeting. And, once again, I suspect they will be discussing a path forward. Jim Jordan has made clear he wants to fight this out and will continue to fight this out.
Speaker Pro Tem Patrick McHenry is also an option now. Justice today for Natalie Holloway.
Natalie Holloway's mother, Beth, says Joran Vandersloot confessed to authorities that he killed Natalie while she was on a high school graduation trip in 2005.
As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
Beth Holloway says his confession was verified with a polygraph test.
CBS's Matt Piper. Jussie Smollett's rep says the actor's going to rehab following an extremely difficult few years. It comes as Smollett appeals his criminal conviction in Chicago for lying to police about a racist attack in 2019. And researchers at Johns Hopkins University now are looking into a link between breast cancer and alcohol. Here's CBS's Natalie Brand.
The American Cancer Society says women who have 1 alcoholic drink a day have a 7 to 10% increase in risk. Up to 3 drinks a day, 20% higher risk. And while cancer prevention guidelines say it's best not to drink alcohol, it's recommended women limit their intake to no more than 1 drink a day.
This is CBS News.
You need to hire? Indeed is with you every step of the way, helping you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
At Union Bank, they've helped local businesses and municipalities since 1891 with a full suite of commercial and municipal loans and services. Union Bank is local, so they can act quickly, provide personalized customer care, and have the personal, commercial, and municipal banking services that you need. Now, for a limited time, lock in a 12-month CD at 4.50 annual percent.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show.
4.40% interest rate. This offer is available online only. See website for details at ublocal.com. Union Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
At Rise Up Bakery in Barrie, they're not just baking bread, they're crafting works of art. Their wide variety of breads are long fermented, naturally leavened, and baked to perfection in a traditional wood-fired hearth oven. Each loaf is a testament to their knowledge, passion, and years of experience. Pre-order your selection to pick up at Rise Up Bakery Wednesday through Friday, 12:30 until 6. For details, visit Rise Up Bakery at 48 Granite Street in Barrie or online at riseupbakeryvt.com.
Find a rewarding career at the Gary Residence, a new state-of-the-art residential care home purposefully designed for the nurture and care of those living with memory loss.
It's a really great environment to work
work in. And it doesn't matter what position you have here. We're all one big happy family.
I'm really fortunate to work here and have all of these people in my life.
The Gary residence is currently looking for experienced LPNs, med techs, and resident service assistants to join the memory care team. Learn more and apply at thegaryresidence.com.
Rise and shine with WTEV Sunday mornings. Begin the day at 6 with Joel Nasman and 2 hours of classical music, followed by the Takeout with Major Gary. A casual discussion of politics, policy, and pop culture. Then it's Jane Pauley and CBS Sunday Morning with stories about the arts, music, nature, and entertainment. The morning concludes with Sunday Morning Swing Time, an hour of swing tunes. Join us Sunday mornings on WDEV AM and FM and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show here on this Wednesday, WDEV AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Joining us now, Red Sox and Bruins insider over at NESN, Tom Caron. TC, how are you?
I'm doing well, Brady. How you doing?
I am doing well as well. Let's start with what we talked a lot about yesterday. This is the Red Sox GM and baseball ops search. The report came out over the weekend that the team is having a hard time filling this job. Then we got word yesterday there were a couple of interviews done, but there still had been a lot of rejection. Do you read that as the job isn't as appealing as they think it is, or is that par for the course?
Yeah, I do think it's somewhere in the middle. I think a lot of this is par for the course. I think a lot of, you've seen this over the years where people who are in the number 2 position in baseball operations, when they see the opportunity, they have the family discussion. The family says, you know what? Our kids are in whatever grade. I don't want you to uproot. We got a good thing here. Life's pretty good. Sam Fuld in Philadelphia, Brandon Gomes in LA, whatever it is. I talked to Chaim Bloom about this back when he was here over the years. Some opportunities came up, and you don't want to just jump at anything. So, I think a lot of the we're not interested stories are pretty par for the course. That said, you would sort of hope that the Red Sox were one of those few jobs that would make you jump out of the norm and change your course. And it's clearly not that. There are plenty of names still on the table. They've been interviewing internal, external. There's still some other names popping up out there. I think it's a little overblown that nobody wants the job, but it's a good story, and we're finding out the people who don't want the job first.
The bigger deterrent, is it the ownership? Instability is the wrong word because it's the same group, but the constant turnover in the position over the last decade, or is it that Alex Cora very well may have more power than you?
Yeah, well, it's both. It's absolutely both. And I think it's more the third thing is, and this is, I think, the biggest thing, is that you've gone through so many, right? That's the instability. But it's, Dan Shaughnessy quoted an unnamed former GM, and it was really illuminating to me when he said, listen, the last 2 guys achieved the goals they were set out to accomplish. Dave Dombrowski was told to go all in and win a World Series. Went all in, won a World Series, got 5. Chaim Bloom was told, scale back, build the farm system, draft, develop, build a sustainable franchise. He turned the farm system from 25th, 30th to top 5, got fired. So I think that's what has some people worried about. Well, you're going to tell me what you expect me to do. I'm going to go do it, and then you're going to fire me? I don't know if I want to put my life on that.
What do you think of the candidates we've heard about right now? Thad Levine, the GM with the Twins, Neil Huntington, former GM with the Pirates. What's kind of your impression of the names you've heard so far?
Yeah, all really good candidates. I mean, Thad Levine and Neil Huntington have both been with other multiple organizations. They've moved up the ranks. They know baseball operations. They know front office structure. Either one would be really good. Eddie Romero seems that right now anyway to be sort of the leading candidate from the internal group, though I'm sure others, Raquel Ferreira pulled herself out, but they've got the other assistant GMs, other people in the baseball ops that may be interested. So Kim Eng, we haven't heard anything about an interview yet. I said before all of this that she'd be really intriguing if she left Florida. I think she's someone with big market experience with the Dodgers, with the Yankees, built a contender, got into the playoffs on a really small budget. I thought made some really good trades. Has a relationship with Alex Cora, which clearly is going to be important for the next person. So I think if it's any one of those people, I think they're going to be in good hands.
Yeah, we talked about Kim Ng yesterday as well, and you were on that first. You called her name out 2 or 3 weeks ago with us. She is now officially a free agent. And I think, how much does that play into this, that the other people who have said no have jobs they don't want to leave? She's currently unemployed. So does that make her more likely to jump at the position, which we clearly can see is not perfect?
I would think so, right? I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, she had the chance to take her final year, remain general manager, but become the number 2 person. They were going to hire a head of baseball operations. And, the scuttlebutt I've heard from, I don't know anybody in Miami right now, but the people I've talked to who have talked to people in Miami, they were by and large shocked that it wasn't her. They all thought that she had done a really good job building up what they had built. But there was some interesting stuff, with the residue of the whole Derek Jeter thing, and they had blown out a bunch of scouts and they had really flipped over that organization. Word is she didn't really get the opportunity to control that, to continue to make the moves within the organization that she wanted on the front office side. I would think she would be really interested in being the number 1 person in Boston. We'll see. But I absolutely, I've said all along, I think she'd be a really good candidate. And I'm just waiting to hear, and now there's a lot of talk that the Mets would be interested in her, but she'd be the number 2 there. But she'd be back in New York to be the Mets. That's a pretty exciting thing. So there you go.
Tom Caron, Sox Insider over at NESN with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. It's interesting. I was looking at a graphic on social media yesterday, and it was how the Texas Rangers are built. And it was their 9 position players. It didn't include the pitching staff. But 7 of the 9 position players came via trades that we would agree were not major at the time that they were made, or international signings, except for Seager and Semien. So I think that it's a pretty good kind of argument for both camps here. The people who want to draft, develop, trade, and kind of build up from within, the Rangers have done that. But for the people who want to spend, they've done that too. I think they're an interesting case study that you don't have to be all of one thing only.
No, you don't. And I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I believe that if you look at them, that's how you do it, right? I mean, you draft and develop the bulk of your lineup, maybe the bulk of your bullpen, but you're going to have to go spend money on starting pitching. That's the way it is. It's really hard to develop starting pitching, and it's really expensive and really risky to go get starting pitching. So you got to overdo it. You can't just get Odorizzi. You can't just get Eovaldi. You got to go get Montgomery. You got to go add Scherzer. You got to keep adding, knowing that Odorizzi hasn't thrown a pitch. DeGrom made 6 starts. Right, but they didn't stop. A lot of teams will get DeGrom and that's it. We made our move. You gotta spend on pitching, and you gotta, have so much redundancy that when the inevitable elbow blows out, you've got other guys to turn to. I love the way Chris Young built this over the last 3 years. That you had the core young guys, which you could sort of say is where the Red Sox are. You add a couple of free agents to finalize that lineup, and then you go in big on pitching.
It's interesting. Let's talk a little, let's nerd out for a little bit on prospects here, because I was talking with Buster about this weeks ago, and I used the Mariners as an example because it's what I heard it from. When the Mariners stepped back and rebuilt, they went all in on drafting pitching, right? All this young pitching they currently have, they drafted first, then they developed, and now they've started working on the upside offensive pieces. Ian Bloom undoubtedly has made the farm system better. Would it have been better, though, if they had developed that kind of model where they drafted guys first who were ready to come to the majors early and then went for the upside guys? As a result, they've got Meyer and they've got York, who are great, but we've never seen them, and it's taken them a long time to get to the majors.
Yeah, I don't know. It's taken that long to get to the majors. I mean, when you draft high school kids, they don't jump.
If they had drafted college pitching, they wouldn't have had the problems they had this year.
No, that's right. I'm just saying Myers and York, I think, are on a pretty average schedule. I just think, here's what I believe. I believe one of the reasons Chaim Bloom got let go is he wasn't willing to take a big risk.
Yes.
And I think, we talked about that at the trade deadline, but you know what else is risky? Drafting pitching high in the draft and spending millions in signing bonuses. And it goes back to what I was saying about the Rangers, knowing that in Double-A, that guy might need Tommy John surgery, and that's risky. What isn't risky is getting the best shortstop in the draft or the best college catcher in the draft. He made really smart moves, but he made safe moves in the draft. I think I read somewhere, I forget who said this, that the Red Sox under Chaim Bloom never drafted a pitcher that they had to spend more than $600,000 in a signing bonus for.
Wow.
So that tells you, right, that they were drafting pitchers lower, safer guys where they didn't have as much money on the outlay. Yeah, you got to take a risk with pitching. You got to go out and draft it. You got to go out and pay for it on the free agent market, but that's all expensive and it's all risky.
We will talk about this later in the show, the fake trade proposal from Jim Bowden yesterday on The Athletic. He wants the Red Sox to get Juan Soto, and he wants them to give up Houck and Verdugo and Miguel Bleis. And there's one other prospect in there who I can't remember who, like I said, I'll get to this in the 6 o'clock hour. One, is that realistic? And two, do you think the Padres would go for it?
Well, it sounds like it's realistic because it sounds like the Padres have let the world know they're open for business and they got to lower their payroll, right? Were they 240, something like that? They want to get it down, take another 30, 40 million of it. Now, I joked last year, they had about 7 shortstops when they broke camp last year. And so it makes sense to move somebody. Soto would be a hell of a pickup for any new executive here in Boston. I don't know if that's enough. If it was enough, I would do it in a heartbeat. Yes. We talked about Verdugo. I think you got to move now if you're not going to extend him. And I wouldn't. I would trade him because I still think he's got a significant amount of value. I think Tanner Houck has kind of got a lot of teams that salivate for young pitcher still coming into his own. Blaze a really good prospect. You're going to have to give up something. I don't remember who the fourth guy is either. But that's the kind of move. If you can do that and you're willing to spend the money, you do that in a heartbeat. But then you got to follow up by spending more on pitching. And that's where it gets a little tougher.
Are you enjoying the LCSs here? A couple of 2-0 series right now. TC, I'd like something to go 6-7 games, please.
I know. Yeah, I am enjoying it. They've been fun games, I thought, so far. Texas really surprised me. In fact, they haven't lost a game yet. It's just crazy. But they've been fun to watch. And somehow that bullpen that was just horrible in September has really come together. And there's been a couple scary moments, but they've been good. And on the other side, the Phillies look like they did last year. Last night was just ridiculous, but watching it as a Red Sox fan, you watch Eovaldi, then you watch Schwarber, and you're just scratching your head.
And Dombrowski.
But really, it's Eovaldi and Schwarber because those are two guys that really, Kyle from Waltham t-shirts. You had Schwarber here and he loved it. You had Eovaldi, and again, it's risky because Eovaldi's going to get hurt along the way. He did this year. But, man, there's nothing nastier than playoff Nate. And he's been nails.
Well, game 3 of the ALCS is today. Game 3 of the NLCS is tomorrow. TC, much appreciated. We will catch up again in 7 days.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brady.
Absolutely. There goes Tom Caron, our Red Sox insider over at NESN. You can get in with your thoughts on that. 802-585-3026. A bunch of things stood out to me with TC. First and foremost, if the Padres would take that trade that was offered for Juan Soto, I would do it in a heartbeat. Okay. And again, all this was an exercise on The Athletic. Jim Bowden was out there. He's a former Major League executive, a former MLB GM. He was listing, okay, who are the teams that could make a move for Juan Soto? Juan Soto is going into the final year of his contract in San Diego. He had turned down a 15-year, $440 million contract once upon a time from the Nationals. So the Padres aren't going to give him a deal that tops that. I don't think a lot of teams are going to want to give him a deal that tops that, but he's going to want to hit free agency since he's that close to it. So you are renting Juan Soto for a year. The deal that Bowden proposed was Verdugo going into the final year of his deal with the Red Sox. Houck, a couple years left. Miguel Bleis, the outfielder, who is 19 years old. He's the 5th-ranked Red Sox prospect. And I believe it was Luis Perales, who is the 10th-ranked Red Sox prospect, who is a 20-year-old pitcher. I do the deal in a heartbeat. And I love prospects, and I love hoarding prospects. I also love winning at the major league level. If you went and got Juan Soto, then your offense instantly gets better, right? Because you'd be having Soto with Casas, with Story, with Duran, with Yoshida, with maybe Turner. You'd be talking there about a very good offense and a very deep lineup. And if that lineup is healthy, you'd have a lot of pop there, and certainly to have another lefty in that lineup would be good as well. Now, getting rid of a couple of prospects, I mean, I never love doing, getting rid of prospects. But to bring in Juan Soto and only have to give up 2, I'm good. TC says other teams would salivate over Tanner Houck. I'm not salivating over him anymore. I'm okay without him, especially if I'm going to go sign pitching. If you get Soto, you subtract Verdugo, you still have an outfield glut. Are you doing something else? Are you trading Duran? Are you trading Rafaela? Are you trading Ref Snyder? I mean, I have to see what else is there. Now, you would have lost Duvall in free agency, presumably, as well. So it might not be as big of a glut, but I would make that move in a heartbeat. On the GM front, TC says he doesn't think it's as big a deal that the Red Sox are being rejected by guys, right? He said it's a big deal, but it's not as big a deal as it's being made out to be. That's fine. If that's how he thinks, then that's how he thinks. I do think it's a big deal. The Red Sox should be the job that makes you have the tough conversations with your family. They should be the job that make you get out of your comfort zone. They should be the job that you are willing to go and risk it all for. It should be the dream job of your career. And to be being turned down by this person and that person and that person, that doesn't paint a great picture. I do think the Alex Cora thing is a big deal. And I think it might be a big deal for Kim Ng as well. TC says it's important. She's got a relationship with Cora. That's true. But Kim Ng she didn't want to be a part of a power struggle in Miami. Does she want to be a part of a power struggle in Boston? It's not even a power struggle. Alex Cora has the power. Who wants to come in to a spot where their underling is more powerful than them? I wouldn't. I mean, Danny, if someone said to me, Brady, we want you to come and be the program director at our sports station, but the host has all the power and you have nothing, then what's the point? Why would I want to take the risk and put my name out there if I am not going to have the power that I should have or the power that comes with that title? And then TC's right also when he says everybody else who's had this job has done what they've been asked to do, and they've all gotten fired. Why do I want to do that? There's some real red flags with this job. There's some real great perks, trust me, right? Getting to run your own organization is huge. Getting to run the Boston Red Sox is an incredible opportunity. The Red Sox have some exciting things when you talk about their farm system and you talk about the idea of some veterans rebounding. You might not be that far away. There are incredible perks to this job, but there are real detriments and there are real red flags as well. 802-585-3026. Matt Bolton says they need to hire Kim Ng. Yeah, well, I'm for it. I'd be fine with them hiring Kim Ng. I don't know if she wants the job, right? Does she want to go from big market or small market to big market and deal with the pressure? Does she want to deal with the instability of the ownership group? Does she want to deal with Alex Cora having the power? I don't know. These are all the questions. Tex says maybe Cora ought to be the GM and hire his own manager like Brad Stevens did. That is a fair point. And we might get to a point where that is the best thing for the Red Sox. But right now, Alex Cora doesn't want to not be a manager. It doesn't matter at this point, that idea, because Alex Cora still wants to manage. And as long as he still wants to manage and doesn't want to go into the front office, then it's kind of a moot point. I can't force him upstairs because that's not a job. Being the general manager of my team is not a job I can force you into. You have to want it. You have to be ready for it. And it has to be something that you live to do. And if Alex Cora still lives to be on the field, then it doesn't matter. Brad Stevens was burnt out of coaching. Brad Stevens said, I no longer want to do this, but I still have passion for this team and this organization and this sport. I want to go do that. Alex Cora still has passion to be on the field. So until he doesn't have that anymore, it's not really a conversation. He said right away, I'm not ready to do this yet. I still want to be on the bench in the dugout. Brady Farkas show on DEV. Danny, give me 1 second here. I want to pull up a tweet here. I have to find it exactly. I got to tell you, though, and I'm going to ask Buster about this as well. I have to change, I guess, fundamentally what I think about playoff baseball. And I wish that I had. Here is the quote, or here's the stat, I should say. I used to think that in the playoffs, the thing that won you games was great pitching, but also the ability to play small ball, right? For a long time in my life, I thought home runs could not be counted on in October. A couple of different reasons, right? The pitching is so much better in the playoffs that you're not going to be able to hit as many home runs. And also the weather's not as good, right? The ball does not jump in October in Fenway or at Yankee Stadium or at Citi Field or in Philadelphia like it did in mid-June. Right now, it may pop in Los Angeles or in Miami or wherever else, but I've always thought you can't be a home run hitting team only in the playoffs. Evidently, I need to change that way of thinking. The stats are astounding. In these playoffs, the teams that out-homer their opponent in a game are 17-2. 17-2. If you hit more home runs than your opponent in any playoff game this year, you are 17-2. Last year, the teams that out-homer teams were 22-6. I used to think that the best way to win playoff games was the ability to do everything. You got to be able to run, timely hitting, steal a couple of bags. That's not really the case right now. 52% of runs in this year's playoffs have been scored via the home run. This is how people are scoring. And the teams that can homer are the teams that are winning. And I don't love that aesthetically. I wish there was more of what we saw in the regular season, right? Teams stealing bases. The bunt has gone the way of the dinosaur, even though I like it overall. The bunt has gone away. Hit and run. But with this pitching, you're not seeing 5 singles in a row to score 2 runs. You're better off walking and popping a 2-run homer, and then you're getting your 2 runs that way. I had long held foundational to me that you had to be able to manufacture runs, that you had to be able to eke one out, that you had to be able to create. Not the case anymore. You got to be able to pop the ball over the fence. So when I think about the Red Sox and I think about what they're going to do in the offseason, or I think about what they're going to build this offseason, you got to find a way to get power. And you got to find a way to have a lot of it if you're going to get to the playoffs. You still need guys that can run, right? You need your Ref Snyders if he's going to be here. You need your Duran if he's going to be here. You need Story who can run. All of that is important. But come playoff, that's all important over 162. Come playoff time, come October, got to have guys who can pop the ball over the wall. Matt says, when is Buster on? Tomorrow, 5:45. Buster on every Thursday at 5:45. Texter also says the Red Sox need a closer. They just had a closer. Kenley Jansen had 30 saves this year. Kenley Jansen was one of the best closers in baseball. Kenley Jansen is still under contract for next year. So, I mean, we will see how he does next year. But one of the Red Sox problem this year wasn't really closer. The Red Sox problem this year wasn't even really the back end of their bullpen. Chris Martin had a historically good season. And then Jansen was excellent also. So the thing that was the issue for the Red Sox was their rotation. It was not the bullpen. Certainly wasn't the back end of the bullpen. Maybe want to give you the intermediate innings after the starter went 4 and the bullpen had to cover 5 and 6 before they could get to 7, 8, 9. I'll hear that. But 8 and 9 were not the problem. Brady Farkas Show, WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Got a lot of Patriots audio I want to get to. Just a lot of people saying a lot of stuff about the Pats. We're going to kind of run through it. A Patriots audio dump, if you will. That's next on DEV.
Bring big power into a small place with a Hyundai HX85A compact excavator featuring reliable, efficient Yanmar engine.
Okay.
Standard features like large dozer blades, quick couplers for attachments, and auxiliary hydraulic piping. Plus enhanced reliability features including an industry-leading 3-year, 3,000-hour full machine warranty. The Hyundai HX85A compact
How'd that sound? I didn't know if that home run thing made sense or was good. I just kind of threw that in at the end.
AARP Vermont is working hard to make sure people know how to avoid a scam and hang on to their money. That's why
do we have a
want to
new
share
legal ID?
AARP's
Legal
free
ID 92
resources with
translators?
everyone. With AARP as your partner, you'll learn how to proactively spot scams, get guidance from fraud specialists, and feel more secure knowing that they advocate at the federal, state, and local levels to protect consumers and enforce the law. Today's
Has anyone
tip
heard
is
from
about
Charlotte?
Medicare scams. Be suspicious of anyone who contacts you promoting a Medicare plan. Legitimate health plans can only contact
still
you
not
if
wanting to
you've
work.
requested information or if you have an existing relationship with them. With the help of AARP Vermont, you can recognize fraud sooner so your
Yeah.
money lives longer. Remember, if you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. Get more tips at aarp.org/VT.
Come experience the Vermont Fall Tradition. 2 shows for the price of one. The Champlain Valley Craft Show and Antique Expo returns Friday, October 20th and is open Sunday through October 22nd at the Champlain Valley Expo in Essex Junction. Over 150 booths of American-made arts, crafts, specialty foods, and antiques. Come and meet the makers of fine crafts, including photography, stained glass, country wood crafts, primitives, folk art, steampunk, fine jewelry, pottery, wearable art, basketry, fiber arts, and so much more. Check out the Antique Expo, featuring dozens of dealers of authentic antiques and vintage collectibles. Enjoy the tastes of warm Vermont fall foods and smells, or sample gourmet specialty foods, including jams, jellies, nuts, fudges, oils, wine slushies, jerky, and more. We hope to see you at the Champlain Valley Craft Show and Antique Expo. More information at castleberryfairs.com. The Champlain Valley Craft Show and Antique Expo, proudly sponsored by WCAX.
Folks in the Valley call it the 24-hour. To others, it's Billings. Longtime locals refer to it as the mobile. It doesn't matter what you call it. Everyone knows it's the place to stop in Waterbury. Fresh donuts and coffee, Amato's Deli, cold beverages, snacks, and of course, 8 gas pumps to get you fueled up and back on the road. They even have free air, vacuum, and a bike repair station. Billings Mobile, conveniently located on Route 100 in Waterbury. Open 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Hey, it's Charlie Papillo. Join me on the next Travels with Charlie. Burlington Business Association Director Kelly Devine will be with me to discuss the ongoing challenges in the Queen City. We'll be taking your calls for comments and questions. Plus, the Casella Waste Sustainability Spotlight with Jeff Weld. Travels with Charlie is brought to you by Casella Waste Systems, Jolly Convenience Stores, Milne Travel, and Myers Wood-Fired Bagels. I'll see you on my travels Monday at 1 right here on WDEV.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back again, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Reminder about our programming for tonight. We've got some jazz music from 7:10 until 7:30. So just a short jazz with George Thomas today, and then we will have ALCS Game 3 between the Rangers and the Astros. I mean, I hate this matchup, right? As a Mariners fan, I hate 2 AL West teams being in this round of the playoffs. One of them is guaranteed to go to the World Series. I absolutely can't stand it. That said, I think TC's right. The Rangers are a fascinating test case kind of in how you build, right? We've talked a lot, and I have been a big proponent of building through the draft, international signings, building up through your farm system. That's what the Rangers have done, right? You look at the Rangers team, a lot of those guys are drafted, developed, and traded for early in their careers or in their minor league careers, right? Going up and down. Jonah Heim is a guy who the Rangers have developed. Nate Lowe is a guy who they acquired from the Rays in a trade when he was young, and they've got him now. Then you look at Ezekiel Duran as a guy they got from the Yankees. I can't remember what deal that was. I can't remember what deal. Maybe the Joey Gallo deal from back in the day. I know how much Danny loves that idea of thinking about Joey Gallo as a Yankee.
Joey Gallo.
But so a lot of the Rangers lineup is drafted and developed and traded for it young. And then you get to Seager and Semien. So you look at 7 of their 9 are basically homegrown players. But the 2 that are the catalysts are the guys they spent on. You do have to go out and pull the trigger at some point. The Red Sox have spent on Story and Yoshida. but they didn't spend $300 million. They didn't spend $250 million, right? They have passed on all those guys. And there aren't a lot of huge options out in free agency this year, but you're going to have to be aggressive at some point if you want to put yourself over the hump, which is where the Red Sox, right now they got to get to the hump, and then they can get over it. Patriots are a team that's completely under the hump. That's for sure. Patriots are 1-5. That said, they're still worth talking about. There's a lot of stuff going on here with the Pats. 1-5, last place in the division, likely headed for last place, certainly maybe no better than third place in the AFC East. They're getting ready to play this week against Buffalo. They're likely going to fall to 1-6, and they're going to get Miami. They're going to probably be 1-7, and it's going to, it's just an ugly season for the Patriots. Teddy Bruschi won Super Bowls with Bill Belichick. Certainly has a lot of respect for Bill Belichick, a lot of respect for the Patriots and the Patriot way. He asked a very interesting question yesterday on ESPN, Danny.
Is it time to move on? Because right now, if they get a top 5 pick, Mr. Kraft has to decide if Bill is the right one to take one of those 3-4 quarterbacks, whatever it may be, that you can possibly get, and if he wants to start over with Bill. That's Mr. Kraft's decision. That
is a fascinating angle to this, and I hadn't really thought ahead, right? I have been pretty consistent over the last couple of weeks in saying I think Bill Belichick should coach the Patriots. Like, I would be okay with Bill Belichick coaching the Patriots. What I don't want Bill Belichick doing is being the general manager of the Patriots. But Teddy brings up a great point. If the Patriots get a top 5 pick, a top 3 pick, the number 1 pick overall, whatever, and if you want them to take a quarterback, is Bill Belichick the guy that you want making that selection and cultivating that young talent? I would argue no. So a couple of weeks ago, I advocated for the Patriots trading Bill Belichick because I thought it was maybe the easiest way to handle everything. I now would trade Bill Belichick in the offseason even more just because I think it's the best. If the Patriots finish where it looks like they're going to finish, I can't have Bill Belichick be the voice to my young quarterback. He has helped ruin Mac Jones, right? Mac Jones, I think, came into this league as a 75 player, right? 75 out of 100, 73 out of 100. He came in good, not great, but good. And great coaching and great mentorship and great leadership might have been able to take him to an 82 to the Kirk Cousins level. Now Mac Jones is pretty much staying where he is and regressing. And Bill Belichick is at fault for that. Through what happened with the Matt Patricia and Joe Judge debacle of last season coaching-wise, and through what happened last season, I think, with what he did to Mac mentally when it came to how he handled the injury and how he talked about him in the media and what he did with Zappe. I think Bill Belichick has helped ruin Mac Jones. I cannot have that happen again, especially if a guy's going to be drafted in the first pick, third pick, fifth pick, sixth pick, whatever. This is going to be a guy we're talking about being what should be a generational player for your franchise, a guy who should be a potential Hall of Fame player to be taken that high. I can't have Bill Belichick be the guy to pick him, and I can't have Bill Belichick be the guy who's there to cultivate him, because right now he has shown that he can't cultivate that he is not a great environment for a young quarterback in today's NFL. I have looked at this whole scenario solely from a Patriot standpoint, solely from a Belichick standpoint. I would like Bill Belichick to be the coach of the Patriots and the coach only. That said, if I'm looking forward, which now I'm forced to do, I don't think Bill Belichick is the guy to draft and develop and coach a Caleb Williams or a Drake May or a Shedeur Sanders or whoever it is. That guy's going to need a innovative offensive mind, a guy who gets the sensibilities of this generation of player a little better than Bill Belichick does. I do think there are teams that will want Bill Belichick to be their coach. If you said we're going to trade him, there would be a market for him, right? A team with a veteran quarterback, a team with an established quarterback, a team with an identity already built in. I can't have Bill Belichick shape another young quarterback because he has shaped Mac Jones wrong. And he has helped ruin, a promising start to Mac Jones's career. And Danny, think about this one also. This is fascinating to me. Because of NIL now, guys do not have to come out in the draft, right? Unless they're seniors with no eligibility left, guys don't have to come out anymore. So let's say this happens. I don't think this would happen, but let's say it does. Let's say the Patriots finish 2-15. And let's say they get the number 1 pick. And you clearly have Caleb Williams from USC in your sight. But Bill Belichick is still the head coach. What if Caleb Williams said, you know what? I can go make $10 million in NIL by going back to USC. I'd rather do that than play for Belichick. I'd rather do that than play for a guy who helped ruin Mac Jones. I will wait and take my chances the next year that a better offensive mind or a more new way of thinking offensive mind has that they are on the clock at number 1. And I don't have the full list of every quarterback coming out and who's a senior that has to come out and who doesn't. But Caleb Williams doesn't have to come out. Shedeur Sanders doesn't have to come out. Do these guys who can, and look, Shedeur Sanders can make $1 gazillion in NIL money as well. Do these guys choose to stay in school rather than play for Belichick because of what he's done to Mac? Something to think about, right? It's something to think about. We used to say, oh, the guy's got to come out because he's going to make X amount of dollars now. Doesn't have to be the case now. These guys can make those X amount of dollars in college. Caleb Williams will make $10 million probably at USC next year if he went back. Shedeur Sanders will make $10 million at Colorado next year if he wanted to go back. Maybe they want to do that rather than play for Bill Belichick. I don't think that it would be one thing, right? If the Patriots end up finishing this year 6-11 and getting the number 9 pick, well, that might be different, right? You might be able to keep Belichick at that rate because you're not necessarily forced into taking a quarterback. Or if you finish, heck, I'll give the Patriots a real great start end of the season. What if they go 6-5 down the stretch and finish 7-10 and they're picking 13th? Well, now you may not take a quarterback, and maybe Mac has proven he can get another chance for you. Then maybe Belichick stays. But if you're in a position, top 5 pick, I don't think Belichick can make it. I don't think Belichick can be the guy who coaches it. 802-585-3026. Steve says you can trade a coach. Had no idea. Of course you can trade a coach. I mean, how do you think the Patriots got Bill Belichick? The Patriots gave the Jets a first-round pick to get Bill Belichick. Danny, verify the details on that trade, but it was a first-round pick for Bill Belichick. I believe the Saints traded Sean Payton to the Broncos just this year, right? Like Sean Payton was under contract. He retired while under contract. So if he was going to come back, the Saints had his contractual rights. So rather than fire or release Sean Payton, they're like, you're going to give us something. Sean Payton got traded to the Denver Broncos. In baseball, the Mariners traded Lou Piniella, their manager, to the Tampa Bay Rays and got an all-star outfielder by the name of Randy Wynn. John Gruden got traded from the Raiders to the Bucks, as I recall. John Gruden got traded from the Raiders to the Bucks and then won the Super Bowl with the Bucks. So yes, you absolutely can trade a coach. A coach is just like anybody else who's on your roster, who's under contract. If you want to get him from me, you're going to give him something for me. Tex says Denver gave up compensation for Peyton. Yeah, we know that. Dan, did you find the exact terms of the Belichick trade?
Looks like a 5th-round pick in the 2001 draft and then a 7th-round pick in 2002.
Why did I think it was a 1st-round pick?
I don't know.
Now
you could be right. I'm just reading what the first result showed me. So
they gave. Oh, it's
from the Patriots Hall of Fame. They got to be right?
Yeah. So the Patriots. Belichick resigned after being Jets coach for a day. Belichick's resignation was the beginning of a messy divorce that finally settled after the Patriots agreed to trade future draft picks with the Jets, including him, giving them that year's first-round pick to get Belichick. So there you go. Yeah, so the Patriots gave up a first-round pick. They got Belichick a 5th and a 7th, Danny. They didn't give up a 5th and a 7th. They traded a first.
You're saying I read the internet wrong?
Yes. They got Belichick and a 5th and a 7th. So the Jets got the Patriots' 16th overall pick. Oh, here you go. So it's even more than I thought. So the Jets got the 16th overall pick in the 2000 draft. Then they got a 4th round pick and a 7th round pick in 2001. Patriots got Belichick and then a 5th round pick and a 7th round pick later. So there you go. Text says there was controversy involving the Jets and Parcells. There's controversy involving the Jets, Patriots, and Belichick. Text says, I believe that another MLB skipper was traded as well by the name of Chuck Tanner. I don't know that trade, but that's going to be before my time. But yes, you can trade coaches. You can trade managers. Okay, let's get to Adam Jones. Adam Jones works over at WEEI in Boston. He's operating on the assumption already that Bill Belichick won't be back next year. A lot of people have said that if Belichick's gone, Gerard Mayo could be the guy that gets the job. Adam Jones, not a fan of that.
Chris Hogan.
Anybody attached to Bill. I can't think of anything less creative. And that would be on the Crafts. Robert or Jonathan. Bill leaves and you just put in Gerard Mayo. Why? You can't go out and meet somebody else at all these soirees you're at in the Hamptons. You can't go out and find somebody else and run into some other coach. I'm not anti bringing in some ex-player, just not a guy who played here. I don't want anybody from here. They need to think outside the box. There's nothing more inside the box than bringing in ex-players, ex-coaches, people you already know, people in your own orbit. That's not thinking globally.
I generally agree with Adam Jones on this one. That said, I think I'm okay with Gerard Mayo, right? Gerard Mayo was a defensive guy. Gerard Mayo is not going to be near my offense. He's not going to be near Mac. He's not going to be near a first round pick if that's what I end up getting in the draft. So he's not going to have direct access to my quarterback because he's a defensive guy at heart. If Gerard Mayo is willing to go outside the family for his offensive coordinator, then I am good with him. But by and large, especially on the offensive side of things, I would want some people that haven't been here before. And I don't hate Bill O'Brien, but I wouldn't want him back next year if there was a new head coach. If there was a new head coach, I wouldn't want him back next year. I want the next Sean McVay, the next Kyle Shanahan, the next
Mike McDaniel. How about that?
Yes, the next Mike McDaniel. These young, up-and-coming offensive minds. If Mac is here, that's what Mac would need. And I would hate that it would be 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years, but that's what Mac would need. If it's not Mac, and if it's Caleb Williams, Drake May, Shedeur Sanders, or somebody else, then you're going to need a young, innovative offensive mind. Shane Waldron is the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. He's going into his 3rd year. Maybe he is a guy who's ready to be a head coach next year. Gerard Mayo could be my head coach if I get somebody new and outside the family as my offensive coordinator. But I generally am for new blood as well. Okay, I generally am for new blood in Foxborough as well. I think one of the things that has hampered Bill Belichick and the Patriots has been that he doesn't trust anybody outside the family. And as a result, you get a lot of people who feel like he does, who feel indebted to him and aren't willing to try things. And I think the Patriots, if it goes as south as it appears it's going to go, they got to change up their model. And maybe Mayo can do that with a bunch of new faces. But if he can't, then I totally agree with Adam Jones. Danny, you've never seen this episode of Seinfeld, so you're not going to get the reference. It's not going to spoil it for you. But I did enjoy what Greg Bedard had to say in the Boston Sports Journal the other day. He was upset about how Belichick handled the Bleak Cunningham situation.
I mean, this is emblematic of why Bill is in this position. That he enters a freaking NFL game with the New England Patriots without a backup quarterback. So if Mac Jones, behind a terrible offensive line, he easily could have gotten hurt, and the Patriots would have run out there with Malik Cunningham. Like, is he George Costanza trying to get fired, going around the parking lot with the World Series trophy behind his car?
So, Danny, can I play a little spoiler for you?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So I don't know what season it was, but it had to be about season 7 or season 8 of Seinfeld. Maybe 9 even, probably 8. That's my guess. George really wanted to work for the New York Mets, right? The Mets approached him. They wanted to hire him. He was under contract from the Yankees. The Yankees weren't going to let him out of his contract. So George decided to try to get fired, right? He was trying to get fired from the Yankees so he could get out of his contract and be with the Mets. So he put on a flesh-tone bodysuit and streaked on the field at Yankee Stadium. That didn't get him fired. He pulled Babe Ruth's jersey Babe Ruth's jersey out of the trophy case and ate his lunch in it and spilled strawberry juice all over it. That didn't get him fired. He then attached the World Series trophy to his car, drove it around the parking lot, and had the World Series trophy just keep breaking as he's driving it around the parking lot. That eventually, I think, was the thing that got him fired, if I'm remembering correctly. And he was screaming, George Steinbrenner and other front office morons. And that's eventually the thing that got him canned from the Yankees, I believe. Maybe he didn't. You know what? No, he didn't even get fired from that. Mr. Wilhelm did. So you haven't even gotten to the part yet where George works for the Yankees. But George worked for the Yankees. He tried to get fired. And so Bedard is saying, basically, is Belichick sabotaging himself to get out of here? That's where he's going with that. I don't agree with it. I think Bill's just trying to outsmart the room because that's what Bill does. But I appreciated the Seinfeld reference. And Danny, I feel bad a little bit that I had to give you some insight there.
I don't think there's spoilers when a show came out 30 years ago. But
did you know that George was going to work for the Yankees?
Yeah, I knew that was a subplot of the whole thing.
All right, good. He's going to get to the Yankees for you in season 4, which is where you are right now. So
very exciting.
Be ready for that. So are you going to watch an episode tonight? No Celtics tonight.
Yeah, I'll probably squeeze in an episode.
Okay, you got to watch the ALCS. Listen to the ALCS here on DEV. That's Astros and Rangers. I got a question for Danny. We'll wrap up the show with that question next.
Optical Expressions, your premier optometry and eye care destination, is now in their new building at the Blanchard Block, 14 North Main Street, 4th floor, Suite 4002, across from the Barry Opera House. The new offices include a new state-of-the-art facility to serve their customers even better than before, and is handicapped accessible with an elevator for your convenience. Optical Expressions provides comprehensive eye exams at an affordable price, now in their new location. Drop by and meet the team. Optical Expressions for friendly, efficient eye care at the Blanchard Block, 14 North Main Street, 4th floor, Suite 4002 in Barrie. Open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. They can't wait to show you their new state-of-the-art showroom. Optical Expressions, oeberlin.com, 802-223-2090. Quality eye care you can see. Now in downtown Barrie, Optical Expressions. Just because you're away from your radio or out of our broadcast range doesn't mean you have to miss out. Listen live on the WDEV stream, brought to you by AARP Vermont. WDEV's morning, midday, and afternoon news services, Vermont Viewpoint, and the Brady Farkas Show can all be found on the WDEV stream at WDEVradio.com. Brought to you by AARP Vermont, helping Vermonters protect themselves from identity theft and fraud. More information at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Hi, folks. Steve Cormier, General Manager of the Radio Vermont Group. I'm sure by now you heard us talk about our exclusive Radio Vermont trip to Antarctica with meteorologist Roger Hill. Well, I got big news for you. We just secured more cabins at a better price. New Radio Vermont pricing starts at under $9,000 per person, double occupancy, and $11,000 per person for a single cabin. That's a nice price drop. And don't worry, if you're already booked, we're passing on the new discounted prices to you. And if you've collected air miles, you can use those to get a better deal.
You fly into and out of Burlington, which is another plus. This fabulous trip starts on January 25th when you fly to Buenos Aires and back to Buenos Aires after a splendid once-in-a-lifetime 9-day cruise through some of the most spectacular scenery on Earth.
Details at WDEVradio.com. We've made our trip to Antarctica more affordable, so now you can go. For more details and information, or to book your space, call Milne Travel at 800-78-MILNE. WDEV is your home for New England Patriots football.
Oh, wow, we do
Patriots
not have a lot of time
AFC
here.
rival the Buffalo Bills this Sunday. Pregame at 10, kickoff at 1. Patriots football on WDEV, brought to us by Matt Clark's Northern Basement Systems. For all things basement-y, visit Northern.
I just tried to delete this Bittner testimonial, but I don't know if it'll take. So.
Hardwick, your go-to place for routine auto maintenance. And Patriot Transport.
And it's not reflected in the time,
for the greater
though.
Stowe, Burlington, and Central Vermont region. New England Patriots football this Sunday at 10 on WDEV AM and FM.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Time flies when you're having fun. I didn't realize we only have like 60 seconds left in the show here. I didn't leave myself much time to ask Danny that question. So, Danny, somewhere I wrote down in my notes today, ask Danny something about a tour guide. I don't remember why I asked you that. I don't remember why I thought it was important, but now it's your job to remember and remind me tomorrow. Can you do that?
We can do that.
Okay. I have no idea what it refers to. I'll think about it for the next 24 hours until you remind me tomorrow. How about I just end the show and tell you this? Today's Patriots injury report, right? Danny, Patriots are taking on the Bills. Did not participate. Trent Brown, Hunter Henry, Jonathan Jones, Josh Uche, Keon White. You know what that would be? That would be several of your best players right there. So you're heading into a matchup with a team that is certainly playoff caliber, potentially Super Bowl caliber. I don't know if the Bills can figure themselves out in time to get to the Super Bowl, but Bills are much better than you, and you're playing without, oh, by the way, also barely practiced David Andrews, Jack Jones, Jabril Peppers, Pop Douglas, Kyle Duggar, Ramondre Stevenson, Cole Strange. Basically everybody who's anybody didn't practice today for the Patriots. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Go download the podcast.
Now more than ever, Vermonters are eager to get out and about. And Vermont's outdoor recreation businesses